Hi everyone, I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar where we will walk through multiple tips and tricks on how you can maximize your relationship capital in 2015. My name is Alexandra Baer and I'm on the marketing team here at Relationship Science. I'm joined by my colleague on our client development team, Katie Fabiani, and my colleague on our marketing team, Chelsea Briggs. Today's presentation will last approximately 20 minutes, and you can submit questions anytime throughout the presentation through the chat question feature located within GoToWebinar. We'll save some time at the end to answer your questions. So if you're anything like me, it's hard to believe that 2015 is just around the corner. Have you thought about all the ways you can leverage the RELSci platform in order to maximize and leverage your relationship capital? Our goal today is to give you some targeted tips that will help you get ahead of the game with your business efforts next year. Today we'll go through a couple of different things within the RELSci platform, including how to upload your target list and set alerts on them, how you can discover warm introductions to people on those lists that you upload, how to visualize your firm's relationship capital, how to perform any due diligence on your targets, how to prep for events that you have next year, how to make the most of any business travel that you're doing, and then lastly, how can you stay up to date on people that you met within 2014. So now we're going to jump into the program and get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to go through is how to take lists of your targets for next year and add those to RELSci. So you probably have already started thinking about who your prospects are going to be for 2014, whether those are donors, companies that you're trying to get in front of, individuals if you're a wealth manager that you're trying to target. What you'll do is add those people, if you haven't already, to a spreadsheet on your computer and save it as a CSV file, and then you can upload that entire spreadsheet of people or companies into RELSci through our list functionality. So if you go to list right here, you'll be able to see any lists that you've already created previously, and then you can upload lists through here. So if you click Upload File to List, you'll just be able to take the CSV file that you have saved on your computer, add it here. Basically, all you need is, if it's people, we suggest having their first name, last name, and company, and then email address is even better. And then if it's just a list of companies, then you can add that list of companies. And basically what we'll do is we'll look for people that are on that list or companies that are on that list and basically match it with the people and companies that are within RELSci. So for the sake of this presentation, we already created a list of our 2015 targets. And this list is a list of people. It could also be a list of companies. And you can go through this list and see everybody that was matched. And scroll down, you can see people on that list. So if you end up wanting to check and see if someone was on there, or if you want to take somebody off of it, you can search for people within the list. Another thing that we always suggest doing when you add a list of people or companies is setting alerts on them. And basically what alerts will do is that'll make sure anytime there is any type of like news announcement, whether that's, let's say, like an IPO on a company, or somebody getting promoted at a company, or somebody leaving a position at a company, you'll get alerted within your daily 360 email alert, and those people will also show up, those alerts will also show up within your news feed on the home page. So definitely suggest doing that when you add the list to your RELSci account. So now once you do this, the first thing we normally suggest doing is going into Pathfinder and seeing the different types of paths that you have to the people or companies on that list. And this is something that I suggest doing as early as possible. It'll help you just think through, who you might want to target. Initially, you might have like quick warm introductions to, or people that might take a little bit longer to get in front of. You can basically plug the list you have created into this to field and see how your firm connects to your target. And so what this is basically doing is finding all the different pathways that you have to people on your target list. So you can see on this left-hand side, these are people in my company. And then on the right-hand side, these are my targets. And if I had uploaded a list of companies, this would basically do the same thing except all the people on this side would be the companies that I'm trying to get in front of, but it would be people at those companies I'm trying to get in front of. So going down the list, I can see that some of my colleagues have already said that they know people that are on my list. So those are easy ones that I know that I can probably get to, those people just through my colleagues. And then moving down the list, I start to see second-degree connections. So if you've not really used Pathfinder before, you'll see that it's color-coded based on the strength of the relationship. And so, if we believe that there's a strong likelihood people know each other, that'll be colored red. If it's an average likelihood people know each other, that'll be orange. And then if there's a weak likelihood people know each other, that'll be yellow. And we rate our likelihood amongst different factors, including overlap at a company, size of the company, or let's say size of the board, seniority. So if I was at Goldman Sachs at the same time as somebody else within the platform, it's a really big company, so the chances of us knowing each other are not as high as if it's 4 to 5 people. Then there's a stronger likelihood that the people know each other. So you can always just mouse over these paths and see what the common connections people have to each other are. And this is really helpful. So if I go to my colleague Jane and ask for an introduction to Mitchell, she could say that, the end game is to get to John, and this is how they know each other. And so this is looking at this through people that my colleagues know. If I'm not interested in leveraging my colleagues, I really just want to see through my network how I'm connected to people, I can do that as well. And basically what this will do is put a lens on, through my relationship capital, how I'm connected to people on my target list. So same thing here. This is basically people that I've tagged that I know, and then this is how they're connected to the people on my target list. So the next thing I'm going to do is show you our discovery tool. This is something that we actually added to the RailSite platform within 2014, so you may or may not have gotten to play around with it, but it's a cool way to be able to visualize your relationship web, basically see your first and second degree connections to specific industries, locations, or roles. And so here's just a quick pie chart visualization of it. If I go into explore the relationship web, what this will basically allow me to do is kind of at like a bigger size, be able to see my connections to specific industries. And so I can see that, my firm has, connected to Facebook, Groupon, Mediaocean, and CompuWare Corporation. And I can go in here when I click on the pie chart and actually see these circles that can then show me the my firm's relationships connections to people at these companies. So definitely an interesting thing to go into when you're really trying to strategize where to focus. And if you haven't been in there, I suggest going in and just playing around a little bit with it. So the next thing I just wanted to show you real quick, some people find this really helpful, our Due Diligence tool. So if you're trying to talk to, let's say, somebody that was formerly at a company, somebody that is at a competitor to a company that you're interested in, you can find those people through due diligence. So let's say Nike is a company that I'm interested in. I'm not interested in talking to people that are currently there. I'm interested in talking to people that were previously employed there and were an executive. I can find those people through here. So there are 154 people that fit that criteria. And you always notice within our search results that will show you everybody as a default. And then if there's anybody within the results that are people that you've tagged that you know, they'll be in this My Relationships filter. If your colleagues know anybody, they're in this Colleagues filter. And then there's people that are in my extended network. So these are people that are on this list that I'm connected to through somebody that I know. And one other thing you'll see here is if you're not interested in talking to people directly at Nike, but you're interested in talking to people that are at a competitor or were previously employed at a competitor, you can also do that through here. If you wanted to look at suppliers, clients of theirs, advisors, and consultants, you can do that all through due diligence. So the next thing I want to talk about is event planning using RailSite for that. So I'm sure that you've already started thinking about your budget for events that you're planning for 2015, whether it's a gala, fundraiser, a reunion for people, anything like that. RelSci can definitely help you with that. I'm going to show you a quick example just of how some of our nonprofit clients have used RelSci for event planning, but if you are planning events and you're interested in seeing how RelSci can help you build your attendance list, find speakers, that type of thing, definitely suggest reaching out to your account manager and they can help you, use RelSci to do that. So if you're interested in building an attendance list, we suggest using PowerSearch. If you haven't used PowerSearch, basically what it does is it takes all the different criteria that you see in people's profiles and allows you to be able to aggregate a group of people based on a certain criteria. So if you're interested in finding people that are based in a specific location or people that have the same title or people that have donated to a certain cause or went to your alma mater, you can do that through PowerSearch. So let's say I'm interested in planning an event for people within New York who have given to a certain cause. So what I would do here is find people that are in New York City that have donated money to higher ed. And as you can see, there's lots of different filters that you can apply to your search so you can refine it as much as you want. And so basically what this has now done is populate a list of over 2,700 people in RelSci that are in New York and donated to higher ed. And you can see right here, the donation information that we have that supports the search that you made. And you can, again, see through these different lenses how you're connected to people on this list. And so what our clients will normally do is save all these people to a list. You can create a new list as your, New York higher ed donors for event for X. We'll just do that. And then I could set 360 alerts if I wanted to, and I can save that. And basically now have this list system. And so if I wanted to, let's say, use Pathfinder then to figure out how I'm connected to people, this is a great thing just to go ahead and start doing so that you're getting an early start on any events that you have for next year. So one last tool that I wanted to show you is our Visit a City tool. And this is just something that we always suggest going to whenever you're, let's say, traveling for a conference or you're going to, let's say, you're one of the cities you cover is Chicago, and you want to see everybody in Chicago that you might be worth meeting throughout the year. You're in Chicago. Let's say you are interested in meeting with CMOs. You target CMOs at companies. You could look at specific industries. So let's say you target a specific industry. You could do that through here. You could also type in specific keywords. Basically, there are 105 people that we have in RelSci that are CMOs in Chicago. So again, you can add this to a list, and this is something that you could, once you add it as a list, put it in Pathfinder, see how you're connected to these people, and this could just be something that you reference anytime you're traveling to Chicago. So last thing that we'll go through is just updating your relationship web. So I'm sure many of you, when you initially were onboarded as a client, you added people to the system that you know so that you can figure out how you're connected to people through those people. One thing that we suggest doing on a regular basis is updating your relationship web to reflect new people that you've met. I'm sure you've connected with more people on LinkedIn. I'm sure you've emailed with more people, got more business cards, all of that. We have some pretty easy ways for you to be able to upload those people to RelSci. And I just wanted to quickly point this out. I know that you'll probably have some downtime over the next few weeks before 2015 hits. So this is just something good to do. And so if I go to add more relationships, you can see the different ways that we have for you to be able to upload people to the system. And one easy thing to do, if you haven't done this already, is download our iPhone app, and you can sync your contacts from your iPhone app straight from your iPhone to the app. And there other ways. And basically, when you click on these, it'll go through instructions for you on how to do each of these different matching methods. And then, in general, if you have a CSV file that has first name, last name, and company in it, you can also just upload that list as a CSV straight to Relify, and then we'll go through and do matching to see who on that list matches people within our system, and that'll up this number that you see right here, and then with that, it'll up your number of extended relationships. And one other thing I'll note too, and if you're like me, my stack of business cards on my desk has gotten a lot larger this year, and some of them have just sat there, and I may have not connected to people on LinkedIn that I should have connected to. And for any of those people that you're interested in keeping tabs on, I definitely suggest just going in, looking them up, seeing what type of information we have. Many times we hear from people, I never knew that so-and-so knew each other, and sometimes these relationships, people that you've met in 2014, are worth preserving and staying on top of next year. So a couple of things that we suggest that you do are, if you feel comfortable enough, adding that person as a relationship. But, bottom line, we definitely suggest following them. And this basically allows you to be able to receive any alerts like this one right here whenever something happens with them. And you can also just go through their profile. Might be something that you didn't know about them when you initially met them that might be interesting, or might have a connection to some company that you're trying to get in front of. So that about wraps it up for our presentation today, and really hope you found this helpful in terms of how to use Relify in 2015. If you, if we didn't cover something you're interested in, you can either reach out to your account manager, or feel free to ask any of those questions now if you haven't already. And I'm now going to turn this over to Chelsea and Katie.
Okay, thanks, Alexandra. The first question we have is, are you able to customize your alerts at all? For example, I am receiving alerts on my firm's alumni list, but it's too much information since these are high-profile individuals. I'd just like to know at any time someone joins new company or board.
So this is a great question, and something that we often get from our clients, especially if they're receiving alerts, as you mentioned, on your firm's alumni or board members who are fairly prominent and often in the news. And there is a way to kind of further filter down your alerts. If you go to the drop-down by your name and go to My Alert Settings, this is where you can customize any of the information that you're getting on your alerts. And so, for example, you can see here under my list that because it's yellow, I'm getting alerts on my firm's alumni list. And there's this little icon in the upper right-hand corner, which is a filter button. If I click on that, that's where I can further filter down the type of alerts I'm getting. And so I can come in here and actually select a topic. And so now I can type in something such as employment and board changes and save that. And from now on, anytime I receive an alert on this firm alumni list, it will only have to do with employment and board changes and nothing else.
Great. Next question. Are there other ways your clients are using the due diligence tool for intel that may not seem obvious?
Yes. Another kind of great way to use the due diligence tool, in addition to just getting intel on companies, is actually to get some intel on your clients, on your competitors. So I'm just going to load up the tool here for a moment. And I'll use kind of a law firm example here, but if you are a law firm and you want to look up a competitor, so I'm going to use Skadden Arps as the example, and you come down and you tick off clients in the drop-down and show results, what this will return for you is a list of people, and then you can actually flip this over the Organizations tab to see the actual organizations that this competitor firm works with. You can then save this to a list, a new list or an existing list, and then as Alexandra was going over earlier, you can then run paths to this list to actually see in practice how you might get to these organizations that your competitor works with to try and gain some new business.
Okay, and then one last question. If I already know who is hosting my own, is there a way to use Relify to specifically target people that the host may be able to invite?
Sure. So if you already know who the host of your event is, and let's say hopefully that person is profiled within our platform. We'll use Warren Buffett as a quick example. I can come to Warren Buffett's profile. He's generously agreed to host a fundraiser for me. If I scroll down to this relationship summary section, and I'm just going to click See All here, these are the people that we think are kind of within Warren's sphere, so the people he's worked with or sits on boards with, maybe he's done deals with them or they're in his family. If I click this Add to List button, I'm essentially saving all of these people to a list, and I can call this, Warren Buffett relationships. And then I can save that. Then what I can do is go into this Power Search tool here and further refine that. So instead of saying, Warren, can you please invite 1,600 people to this fundraiser, I can actually pull up that list within the Power Search and further filter it down to make it more relevant to the event I'm hosting. So let's say the event is in New York, so I only want people from this list who are in the New York area, and it's specific to kind of the banking and finance industry, so I want to make sure these people are involved in banking and finance, and I'm targeting CEOs. So let's make sure that they are sort of prominent at their organization. I can then run a quick search, and what that's doing is filtering Warren's relationships for my criteria. So now I have some very targeted asks for him and not kind of a very full list. It's just 16 people that I can ask him to potentially reach out to that we believe he knows.
Great. I think that wraps up the questions that we got today. If we were not able to answer your question, or if you think of a question later on, feel free just to get in touch with us through our client support team, or just you can get in touch directly with your account manager. We will send out a recording of the webinar to everybody following this, as well as a feedback survey. We love to hear your feedback, especially if there are certain topics that you're interested in for future webinars in 2015. I hope everyone has a great holiday, and we will talk to you in 2015.